Okay, so let me just share my screen here. Start. Okay. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for coming to the presentation on Creative Commons. I'm Jamie Murphy, as you already know. So I'm going to be talking about Creative Commons, what it is, where it came from, and really why it's so important in today's world of information. So the objectives today are, again, talk about the history of Creative Commons, the role in licensing creative works, okay, the elements of a license, and where we can find free open resources that we can use in our own work for our work and our discussions and things. So why do we even need Creative Commons, right? So basically, we want to be able to share our work, right? And different works could be things that we create ourselves, right? Or it could be music or even a book, right? We want to be able to share this with other people in the way we want to share it. Now, when technology enables us to share it globally really easily, but the copyright, everybody gets copyright automatically when you create something, but it's quite restricting. So Creative Commons was founded to be able to pretty much realize the full potential of what the internet can offer, okay? Because very well we have probably cited some work that really people didn't want shared, but we won't know that unless there is some information on there to direct us to understanding what can or cannot be shared. So just a little bit of history about copyright. I don't know a lot about it, but we touched on it a little bit in this course. And basically, I'll just step back a moment about that. I did take a Creative Commons course last fall. It was a certificate course through Creative Commons, okay? And so basically, like I said, copyright is something that everybody gets on their works automatically. You can officially get your licensing and put that little C on your work. But back in 1998, Sonny Bono went to Congress in order to lengthen the years that copyright would be applicable to somebody's work. And so basically this new Copyright Term Extension Act was put in place in 98, which meant that creative works would be for the life of the creator, but then 70 more years after their death. It used to be 50, and then in 98 it was 70 years. So, so due to his efforts, this year, 2019, any works published in 1923 will now be in the public domain. So just as a little example, some of these different works will be available soon in the next few years. And throughout the course, we talked a lot about Disney, right? And how those are really, you know, part of our, you know, our lives, and how, you know, you can't draw a Mickey and say that it's Mickey Mouse. It's not Mickey Mouse, it's all copyrighted material. And nobody has permission to be able to use that work. But yep, so it's a long time, 70 years after somebody's death is until that work is able to be used by other people. So Creative Commons is a nonprofit organization. So back in 2003, they were formed, and they create these free public licenses for people like us that create works. Like the book that I'm writing is going to be licensed with a Creative Commons license. And so I will still have copyright on the book that I'm writing, but I will be also adding another license on top of that. So the idea is to move from the all rights reserved approach of what copyright is to the open licensing Creative Commons. So some of the things that Creative Commons can do for us, or even just globally, you can share your work freely, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to choose one of their licenses. Basically, when you can share your work and it's free, it enriches other people's lives. When people don't have to pay for things, then, you know, people learn and grow and have opportunities for their lives. And, you know, that's what a wonderful gift. You can be able to share your knowledge freely. And you can share it the way you want. And I'll be going in later on how you can share it in the different ways. And community, right? You share new knowledge, like with a village somewhere across the world, and you can share new music for free. Sure, there's radio and things like that, but there's also music that you can keep and share with other people, or even change it a little bit and make it different. Because it's free and you have a certain license to maybe tweak it to the way you want, you can do whatever you want with it. And I just think that, you know, when you give people the freedom to have information that you can do what you want with it, you can be, you know, really enrich lives, right? Cultural exchange, more freedom of speech, more knowledge. Currently, there's 1.4 billion works that are licensed by Creative Commons across 9 million websites. So it's out there, and maybe you've seen it. So I'll be showing you some examples of these different licenses. So there's also a Creative Commons global network. There's chapters all throughout the world, basically doing what I was mentioning with building these relationships with the vision of sharing free open resources. It doesn't always have to be educational. Like I said, it can be just general books or music or artwork, things like that. And so Creative Commons has different memberships that people can volunteer, certainly, and be part of sharing the message all throughout the world. So, so right now I'm going to talk about the different Creative Commons licenses. So there's 4 major icons that are part of the different licenses. So you might have seen some of these. This first one is called attribution. It's a little person. Non-commercial is the little sign there. Share alike and no derivatives. So basically, when you have some works that somebody wants to be able to share and they just want attribution, you're just going to see this little person sign, okay? Non-commercial, you might be able to use that person's work, but you can't make any money on it. So if, for example, I wanted to use some work that was out there that was already free to use, and I wanted to put it in something that I wanted to share with my class, as long as I'm using it, but not like trying to publish it and make money, I can use that work. But I can't get something published and have somebody buy it. Share alike. Now, share alike means if you are going to put a license onto your work, right? So say I want to put on an attribution and non-commercial. I want to have my work out there for people to use, but I don't want them to make money on it. So if I also want anybody else who's using that work not to make money on it, then I need to use that share alike in that license as well. Okay, so other people have to use the same license as the one you used. Because like if I want to share my work and I don't want people to make money on it, I don't want them to then take my work and make money on it. So I would want to put a share alike on there. You have to share it, but you can't make money on it either. No derivatives. When I was referring to something about like tweaking some kind of like music and maybe making switching up the words or something like that, that means you're remixing it and you're changing it around, or you're distributing it. Even enlarging an image is changing it. So sometimes people don't want their work changed. You might distort a piece of artwork that somebody might not want distorted, okay? So that's some examples of these different icons. And basically this is the, just another little summary: giving credit, making money, making changes or adaptations, and distributing it to other people. So those are the 4 main parts of the different licenses, and they're all mixed together depending on what your goals are for your work. Any questions so far on the different licenses? All right. So here is what the different, I'm just moving this over here. This is what the different licenses that you will see usually at the bottom of the document or at the end of a web page. So this first one here, attribution license, this is called like CC BY. This is the one where it's, this CC is that Creative Commons, and BY meaning just to give attribution. So if you use that author's work, you just need to cite it like we normally do. Attribution share alike, basically give credit, and the person using your work has to share it with the same license, okay? Attribution non-commercial, pretty self-explanatory. Give me credit, but don't make money on that work, okay? Oops. One more here, right? It's just a combination of the different ones, attribution, non-commercial, and no derivatives. Okay, and so you've got all three of those icons here. CC BY, NC, and ND for no derivatives. And then there is the public domain, which is called CC0. And so that's pretty much the completely no rights reserved. You don't even have to give attribution. You don't even have to cite it. You can just use it. And so here's a list of all the different Creative Commons licenses out there. And so as you look at the very top, it is the most open, meaning the CC0, which is the public domain, all the way down through the least open, or copyright. And so down here, you have the attribution, you can't make any money, and you can't, no derivatives, you can't share it. So if we wanna use some information from online that we see that we think would be great in our class, if it has no derivatives on it, this little equal sign, you can't use it because you can't share it with other people. You don't know if your students might be printing it and all of that. So you can't do that. And again, as you go closer to the top, okay? And these icons on the left basically are focused about sharing, mixing it, and commercial. And then these are more about sharing and remixing it, okay? And so I thought it would be important to be able to show you how you can find some free resources. So I've hyperlinked some of these. Let me know if this takes me to, tell me if you can see this site. Do you see this? Probably. Do you see this page?
I still see the PowerPoint.
You do? Okay, thanks. Huh.
What you have to do is share your desktop.
Yeah.
Your desktop, it'll toggle back and forth.
Thanks. Yes, I meant to do that, and then I clicked the okay, we should be good now. Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so basically Creative Commons, this is a Creative Commons website, and they have a CC search link within their website. And so what you would do is put in your search query here. So I'll put in, like, say, a birdhouse. You can see I've already done that. And you can decide, like, what you're looking for. Are you looking for a Google image? Something from Wikipedia? There's music, YouTube videos. So I'll just try Google Images here. And so basically here you are onto the Google Images website, and you've got a variety of resources, images here you can choose from. So what I want to alert you to is when you go through the CC website, it's going to automatically change the settings within Google to give you options for different types of licenses. Now, the one that is automatically given to you is labeled for reuse with modification. You can switch this around, labeled for reuse, labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification, and so on. And so one thing I wanted to share with you, so I'll choose one of them here. And so I see this little image at the bottom. Images may be subject to copyright. So I'm gonna click on there. I think that's, I'm just gonna click onto here, and then I'm gonna look here and see what the actual restrictions are. So here you see CC0 public domain. So this, it doesn't have the little icon, but if I click on it, it should bring me to the CC website. Free commercial use. It doesn't really bring me anywhere, does it? This one doesn't. But that shows you what the restrictions are for that. So this was confusing for me at first because the this tells me that it's reusable, but it doesn't really tell me underneath what it is. So I've learned I need to click through and learn what that license is. So I just want to go back here. So if you don't go through the CC search website, CC website, I can show you how to change the settings through Google. Okay, so for example, we go to the settings link here. You go to the advanced search, and then you scroll down to usage rights. And this is the setting that gets changed when you go through the CC search website. So you would want to choose free to use or share. Free to use, share, or modify. Okay, not that you're going to use this commercially, but you want to be able to choose something that is use, share, and modify. And then you click your advanced search. And then now this is set up to find any kind of, so look for, I don't know, park benches, right? That wasn't the best search. I tried something. What was my, I know it was management. Leadership and management. Okay. So, so if you want to look for some articles for coursework, you can use that option there. And look down here, and you pretty much often have to scroll down to the bottom to find out what type of license it is. So this is a CC BY license. Means you just need to give attribution. So by changing your settings in Google, you can then just go to your search field if you're looking for content, and you will get articles and content that are focused on free open sources. Okay. And if you click here to this Creative Commons 4.0, it brings you to their website, and it will tell you exactly what you can or cannot do. You can copy and redistribute, and you can adapt it, remix, transform, and build. So you can cite different parts of that content. Again, so for under the all, and then also, again, the images. Same thing with Flickr. If you like to use Flickr over Google Images, you can go over here to any license, and then you can go to Creative Commons licenses. Okay, and click on here, and then you can see this little person. Some rights are reserved, so we can click on that. And this tells you the type of license. It's CC BY license, and you can share and adapt the work. Okay. And it explains what attribution is down here. And you'll notice this says 2.0. Some other ones said 4.0 or 3.0. It's just the version of the license. So right now we're in version 4.0. So that's why you might see some other numbers, but they are basically the same. Okay. So that's Flickr. And then YouTube has this similar setting that you can click on to alter the settings, you go to the filter here, and then there's a Creative Commons link here. And again, I'm just going to click here and see if they have the license here. See any reference to the license? I don't see it here. Is it? There it is. License is right here. So reuse allowed. And if we click on that, it just brings you to YouTube help. What is Creative Commons? But basically that just tells you what you can do. So those are just a few examples, but the CC search does give you some good options for looking at different different sites. Like, well, Wikipedia is free, but and you just type in Creative Commons, and in their website it'll do CC search. Any questions about finding the open resources or the types of licenses that you can use in your courses?
Jamie, can I just ask a question about attribution?
Sure.
When it says to provide attribution, what exactly does that mean? How does one do that properly?
Right.
If it's necessary.
Right. So attribution is basically like we do a regular citation, and their name and your reference. And depending on your citing, it's really no different than what we're doing right now.
Do we have to give a link, or just cite it?
You don't have to give a link. If you are creating your own work and you're licensing it yourself, then you'll see my CC license at the end of this presentation. But if you're just borrowing someone's work, you're just going to cite their work, basically. That's a good question. So no, you don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
Different, right. So yeah, I think this was my, yep. So I just put this on here I can send this out to you when we're done, if you wanted just a review of where to click in Google and the different areas that you'll see when you go to the settings, okay? And this is just an example of putting CC, Creative Commons in a website, and here's your CC search option. Okay. These are my references. And this is the license. This is basically what you do for a license. And with the license, you make that a hyperlink, and it brings you to the Creative Commons website, and it tells you. So if you want to use any of this information, it's free for you to use and reuse and all of that. So, so that's my presentation. I think the takeaway for you with understanding what is Creative Commons, it's a company. Let me just get rid of that and stop the share here 1 second. So I think the takeaway for what is Creative Commons, this company creates these open licenses, and it allows people to share their knowledge, their creativity with other people, and then for us to be able to use that information in our own work, okay? So, for example, like the book that I'm writing, there isn't really much out there that's already written, so I'm writing this information for my book, but I'm licensing it so other people can have that information for their works. And they just need to give me credit, basically. That's all it is. I'm not putting any restrictions on making money or share alike. They can do whatever they like with it. And that makes it the easiest to be able for other people to use that work. Most of the time, you're going to see those licenses are hyperlinked. So if you're not sure what those icons mean, it should take you to the Creative Commons website. Not all of them did in that example, but that's what you're going to be able to. Don't have to memorize what they mean, but you'll get a sense of what the icons, especially the CC BY with just the little person. That's the most open. and sure, public domain. So, I mean, we still retain copyright, you know, but this just adds another layer to that license saying, I want to share my work with other people in the way I want them to use it. So. Does anybody have any questions about open licensing or how it might pertain to you and how you share information in your classes?
I think what is concerning is that we often use images and we do things and that we put in our classes, you know, including the pictures that we put in, you know, of each week and things that we may send each other or send to students. And I just think it's very helpful to know if we're really allowed to be doing that and how to look for this. So this was extremely helpful, Jamie, to know. I never knew about I never really understood those symbols.
Right. And after this course, I realized I've got images in my class that were not fair. I took them
Right.
as credit, you know. I don't have little citations on there either, you know. So I think as we learn more about what's free and what's copyright, you know, I mean.
I think sometimes people think if it's on Google Images, it's free.
Right.
It's free and it's available free domain, and obviously that's not necessarily the case.
And I think that's why companies like Creative Commons have come to be, because it's internet, it's all out there now, and works are being used without credit, and it's trying to pull that together a little bit. And I think these images, there's not that many different icons to understand, and I think the fact that you're required to link it to the Creative Commons website educates you each time. So I think that helps.
Jamie, that made me think of a question. When we are filling out for accessibility the description, should we include that there as a citation, or is that
Yeah, one like
under the image?
Right, like for the screen readers where we have to like explain the image, is
Right.
that what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now I'm just putting in what the picture is,
Yeah.
right? Essentially, we really officially should be citing it and putting it in parentheses. But wouldn't that also be, because when I'm doing that in the class, I'm putting a citation in the actual post. And so the person with the screen reader is going to identify the wording in the post, the citation, right? So I think the citation is actually in the writing.
Now, what about, you know, the images that we use at the top of each week's page?
Right.
Would we just put a citation underneath
Yeah.
that picture?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we need to make sure that it's usable, right?
For my death and dying class, I just went out and took a bunch of cemetery pictures.
If you,
So they're mine.
you can get credit for it, put your name there. But yeah, I think, you know, once you realize that we're using other people's work without credit, you realize, well, I've been doing that a long time. So, right, we do need to give credit to those images. We do, and I got to switch mine up. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, maybe doing our own pictures makes it really easy. It's a good idea. Or maybe creating our own images, right? Just little, yeah. Anyway.
And then putting them on the Creative Commons so everybody else could use them too.
That's right. There you go. There you go.
Thanks, Jamie. This was very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful. I think this applies to all of us and everything that we do in the classroom. So
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
know, I had a student who had those images on her PowerPoint, and she cited it too, but she actually used images that she could not reuse or distribute.
Oh boy.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I just learned about that, and you're doing what you're not supposed to do. She tried, but she didn't understand what she was looking at. So, and I actually shared with her some of the work from my class, and I said, this is what those images, those icons mean. So, little by little, we can kind of tell our students.
Well, I don't think students have
Even a
ever
little library module that explains the Creative Commons kind of things, because I didn't know what some of them meant.
Yeah, and it's becoming more common. I mean, it's, you know, it's out there, but it's not, unless you hear about it and know what that's even a license, it just looks like just some other icons like Facebook or something, right?
You know what might be helpful, Jamie? And I don't want to put extra work on anybody, but I'm just wondering how people would feel about this. What if we created a short, emphasis on short? What if we created a short description and it was put in every course in the faculty resources so that faculty would know what is allowed to do? It's on faculty to adhere to that. You know, we can't necessarily check that, but if it was in every course, and Marguerite, I don't know how you feel about this, about as you know, as head of curriculum, it's not really part of curriculum, I guess. It's more like the policies for maintaining courses, but I think that it would be that we could then get kind of clearance in terms of saying that we are giving faculty this policy. This policy is in every course,
Right.
and then so faculty don't have to search for it, and then it's on faculty to make sure that the images are cleared.
Right.
Because
Right.
if it's hard to find, no one's going to look for it. If it's in some handbook somewhere or some, you know, or maybe it should be in a common link, not in every course, so that would have to, if it's changed, maybe we could do it so that it's in a Confluence link or something like that, so that it's just one link. And then if it gets changed in some way, you know, we could even put it in the course. It just occurred to me, you could put it in the course for setting up your course in the best practices. It could go in for setting up. So then that's in every course. And then that content is written in there. So it's part of, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, and like educating faculty, what are these free resources, and right, how we're going to be able to use them in our courses.
Yeah.
And like Becky, was it Becky who said that? And what about for the student resources? So they know. Now, wouldn't that come maybe in UNIV, where, you know, you teach them APA and citing? What is this new type of license? Is that you know, that these exist? What do you think?
Maybe, but maybe we ought to put it on the Writing Tutor website and then refer them to it to look at it, so they know where it always is, because it won't always be in UNIV.
Good.
Or student resources, or the student resources page. There's a BSN one and an MSN one.
Right.
And it could be there in a single link, so that, you know, because as Becky said, once a student's out of UNIV, they don't have access to that. They could be introduced to it in UNIV, but
Right.
I think it needs to be in a central place so that, you know.
Okay. That's good ideas. I can do that. And I think by putting in the faculty resources, if you know, you can just refresh yourself on how to find resources. I can kind of go over that as well. I don't know how often students are really putting pictures and things out there, but I think we can at least help each other and get a little refresher, like a 2-minute video or something, how to find things. Okay. So, any other thoughts or ideas? No? Well, well, that should do it for me. If if anybody's got questions, I'll send out my PowerPoint and send that to you. It's hyperlinked. I've got the images on there, how you can find resource, change your settings in Google. And the Creative Commons website has a depth of information, you can imagine. So, all right. Well, I guess we're all set. If anybody, get in touch with me if you have any further questions. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank you so much, Jamie.
All right. I'll hold on, Cheryl.
Mhm.